All right, we're starting with an unthinkable story. A 6 and a 7-year-old on an elevator going for ice cream end up stabbed. How does this happen?
Some man attacks them with a knife.
All he wanted was to go upstairs and get an icy. Oh, Lord, don't let this happen to nobody else's kids.
The worst part is, he's still on the loose, and they believe he might have murdered another 18-year-old nursing student earlier last week.
Another unthinkable story. We've got young girls inviting their friend over for a slumber party. Next thing you know, they're stabbing her, trying to kill her.
If you can believe it, it's because they were trying to join an online cult and prove that a mythical creature was actually real. And they've actually been planning to murder her for months.
And now the story everybody continues to talk about. Young ladies getting married, and that's baby attached to the wedding dress.
It's like something old, something new, and a baby down the aisle, too. Like, who thought? Apparently the baby is okay. It was a 1-month-old baby that the mom fastened onto the end of her Vera Wang wedding gown. Yeah, she's not backing down. She's like, I see nothing wrong with this. We're covered by the blood of Jesus. It's like, after the fact, what were you thinking?
There you go. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. Welcome. This is HLN Now. I'm Mike Alanos. First up, this one. It's so hard to believe. 2 little kids, ages 6 and 7, on their way to get some ice cream after playing at a playground on a hot day. Then the unthinkable happens. A man corners them in an elevator and stabs them. This is in their Brooklyn apartment building. 6-year-old Prince Joshua Avito killed 7-year-old Michaela Caper, still in the hospital fighting for her life. And the scariest part here is the person who did this is still out there. Now an entire community is searching for the killer.
Who could find it in their heart to go into the elevator and stab a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old?
It's unprovoked or whatever. It's two children. You know, it's senseless.
It's sad that they got these maniacs out here killing our kids.
All he wanted was to go upstairs and get an icy. An icy. And he got murdered in the elevator.
She has defensive wounds all over her hands and everything, where she was fighting for her dear life.
How can you describe a monster? Because that's the type of person that did this, a monster.
Oh, Lord, don't let this happen to nobody else's kids.
Oh, the pain and just the look on their face. It's just unthinkable grief going on there. Joining us to talk about this, how are you going to find this killer, criminal defense attorney and also former police officer Philip Holloway. I mean, look at these pictures. Look at the toothless grin. That's little Prince Joshua. He's gone, and Michaela's fighting for her life. How do we make sense of this, Philip?
I don't think you can make sense of it. I've got small children myself, and you know, this is obviously the tragedy of all tragedies. And like the gentleman described him, this is obviously a monster. I think that what the police are probably having to do right now is they're looking at every possibility, but they can't rule out that this is some kind of serial killer, because if this person truly has no connection to either of these children or the 18-year-old that potentially he murdered shortly prior to this, you've got a real problem with a potential serial killer, because they're all young people. They're senseless. They're seemingly random. They're done with a knife. Serial killers sometimes like to kill just for the sake of killing, and there may not be a real motive to it beyond that.
Okay, again, here's what they have as far as a suspect, and a sketch has also been released, by the way. Black male in his 20s, big man from what they say as well. And you'd mentioned, obviously, you have these 2 little ones who've been attacked, one killed. There's an 18-year-old by the name, and there's the sketch, by the way. 18-year-old Tanai Grant stabbed just a few blocks away Friday night. So you're thinking immediate link, right?
Well, I'm thinking that if I'm the investigator, I'm going to check that out, because if they're consistent with each other, if it's random, stranger on stranger, you've got a relatively young person here. If it's a similar weapon like a knife, you cannot ignore those as just coincidences. They may very well be connected, and I guarantee you the police are exploring that very closely.
Okay. And how, on an investigative front, how do you go about it? I mean, what are your, okay, you've got, they believe it's a similar cheap knife with a black handle on it, something you'd find in anybody's kitchen. So you have that. You have this tie-in here in this community just a few blocks away. What else do you have to go on?
Well, they're going to take this sketch and they're going to go house to house, block to block, to try to see if they can get anybody who can give them a name of somebody that it resembles. And then they're going to start looking into those backgrounds of those names. They're going to run criminal histories to see if you have any violent offenders or things like that that might fit that description. And that's going to be where they're going to start.
Okay. You know, when you look at it, Little PJ, Avito, Prince Joshua here, and we're finding out that he has a famous family member who's grieving as well. Chicago Bulls forward Taj Gibson, and Taj Instagrammed a picture of this little guy, and there it is there. Just another picture, another moment where we take it in, that this little guy, and we've seen that. That looks like one of your kind of kindergarten graduation type pictures, and the little guy's gone.
Just gone. Hopefully there's no connection to his relative in the NBA. Hopefully it wasn't something that was planned and premeditated. It's scary enough as it was if it was just random. But it seems to me that it was just a monster on the loose.
Just a terrible story. We'll stay on top of it as this investigation ensues. Philip, thanks again. We'll chat with you in just a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, the guy who was the subject of an FBI manhunt for 3 days has been captured. Ryan Chamberlain yelled as police caught him near the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco yesterday. The FBI had been searching for him after they say they found explosives and explosive materials in his apartment.
I was rolling with my iPhone. The cops said, back away. The guy who was getting arrested looked at me and said, help. I figured if there's a manhunt, surely this guy's going to get out of the city. I didn't imagine I'd run into him down at the beach.
And he's described as a social media expert and former political consultant. Agents wouldn't say why they started investigating him. All right, coming up, this story here, and it's a picture that's really going like wildfire, and everybody seems to have a comment. It's a picture of this lady, Shauna Carter Brooks, just gets married, and she attaches her 1-month-old baby to the train of her Vera Wang wedding gown. So many people are weighing in on all of this and not happy about it. Many are saying, what are you thinking? That's the bottom line here. So we're going to bring your comments up and let you see how this online discussion is continuing. Some are saying, what are you doing? You're dragging your infant behind? You might want to rethink that one. So we have that coming up. Also this, it's a close call, and the pilot almost hits a sunbather. Yeah, look how close.